Hello, happy Monday. Last week we had two meetings, one for the fall 2019 group of students and one for the spring 2020 group of students. But we had some malfunctions with our recording. So I am basically recording this screencast to give you the information that we shared in those meetings, which for some of you in the 2019 group could be going over something we've already talked about, but I think it's beneficial information to help you in your next review, just to know what some of the problem areas seem to be. And so there's information that we've added in recent weeks to the community just to help with some of those problem areas. So you can see this is the site for, now I have some stuff on my screen that you won't have on your screen, but this is the site for the community for fall 2019, and this is the site for the spring 2020. So on the home page, they look the same. The one thing I want to point out on the home page is if you've already gotten started, then you've probably watched this video. This is to help you get started. And this is an introduction to the actual ePortfolio template, this second screencast. And down here, this link, Start Building Your ePortfolio, this is where you need to enter every single time that you log on to work on your ePortfolio. FolioTech will send you an email and say, oh, you can start an account in FolioTech. The problem is if you work in FolioTech and save your information in FolioTech, your ePortfolio template for this particular ePortfolio is linked to an assignment that is set up in Canvas through this quote course. This isn't really a course, but it's set up like a course. And so the assignment doesn't talk to FolioTech, the program. It uses the program, but they're not linked on this assignment. So if you enter FolioTech in some way other than through here, like let's say you enter it through another class you have, the information you add won't be saved. We won't be able to see it. So we need you to always, while you're working on the ePortfolio, for this particular ePortfolio, always enter right here through this link on the home page. Now I want to show you a couple of things under the modules because these are things that I think will help you. And in fact, they're designed to help you. Now it looks a little different. On the spring 2020 page, it says before you begin, read this. But on the fall 2019 page, it's just one module. So the FAQs and the do's and don'ts are all under helpful resources. But under the other page, the helpful resources for the spring 2020 are separate from the before you begin, read this. And that's just because you started earlier in the fall group, so yours is set up just a little bit differently, but all the information is the same. So as far as the do's and don'ts, it's really important to read these. So I'm not going to read these for you, but I do want to point out a couple things. One is what we already talked about, entering using that link on the home page. Also, read through the frequently asked questions. Those are from the fall semester of 2019. Those are from the discussion board, and there might be questions there that you have. So it's really helpful to you if you can read through those questions and see what were some of the things that people said and what were the questions that they had, because you might have those questions too. Also, please feel free to submit questions to the discussion board as needed. There is, let's see, don't use Internet Explorer or Safari. It only says Safari here, but we've also been having a few troubles with Internet Explorer. So we encourage you to use Firefox or Chrome as your browser when you're loading your ePortfolio. And we don't know what the deal is, but FolioTech does not like Safari or Internet Explorer. It works better with Internet Explorer than with Safari, but we just recommend Chrome or Firefox because it works great with both of those. All right, so I'll let you read through these on your own because I think that this will help you. These are things, these tips came from things that have happened and stuff that happened in the first review and problems that we saw. Same with the helpful resources. This first is a screencast that I made after we released the quote grades. They're not really grades, but they're just your review. And then this one, be sure to submit your ePortfolio. In order for us to see it on our end, which is really important, you do need to submit your ePortfolio, there's a screencast here that tells you exactly how to do that. If you want to have the Writing Center look over your ePortfolio, you completely can do that. And there's a link here for the Writing Center under Writing and Grammar Help. For a lot of you, just running what you put in your ePortfolio through a Word document through the grammar check is probably sufficient. There is a link here for help for your resume. In fact, let's click here because I want to show you there's a Career Center here at UNT, and they have a lot of great free information. So if we go up here to resources and click there, we can see some of the amazing things that are available through the Career Center. You can have free business cards. You can see over here free business cards printed, which is awesome. I recommend that you do that. There's information about interview questions. There's a whole section about the resume, action verbs for your resume, how to construct each section of your resume. These resources are intended to help you create the very best resume you can possibly create. I highly recommend that you take the time to view those resources because really your resume is going to be what makes you stand out. So when it comes time to get a job, you're going to want to stand out. So you want that resume to really gather attention. Your electronic portfolio is kind of like an extended resume, but the first thing that they see is probably going to be your resume. So take a look at that. Then this is a link to Folio Tech helpful resources related to Folio Tech. This is things like how to change the pictures on your page. It's how to use the Folio Tech program. So your template that you're using to create your ePortfolio is set up in Folio Tech. So you are going to probably, if you've worked with it at all, you've noticed that there are some little quirky things about Folio Tech. So if you're trying to do something and you're thinking this is not working, what is wrong? Go to these helpful how-tos. There's a link to the Folio Tech website. There's also a chat feature on Folio Tech's website that is super helpful. I have asked them questions myself at that chat, and they're pretty good about getting back to you fairly quickly with answers to your questions. As far as visuals and ePortfolio tips, this is an infographic just to help guide you. You know, when you're doing anything online, visuals are important because people are very accustomed to seeing visuals. And you've heard the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So pictures are great. You don't want to have too many pictures though, but pictures are a great way to gather attention, to show what your personality is. Your ePortfolio should be a reflection of you. We want this, when I open your ePortfolio, I expect to be able to kind of get an idea what your personality is like, just from what I see. So there are 5 tips here, and I'm going to just encourage you to read over these yourself. And I like this tip number 5. Is this too much? If you have to ask the question, the answer is probably yes. If it feels like too much, it probably is. Go with your first instinct. But take a look at these ideas because I think this will help you. You want your portfolio to be something that people want to look at. If it's just all words, people might be a little bit more reluctant. But if you've got some pictures and some nice graphics and logos in there, people are going to want to take a look. That picture is going to draw them in. So take a look at those visuals and ePortfolio tips. Now I want to show you, we'll scroll down here under the modules page. So all of this is about the ALA competencies. For your ALA competencies, by the time you graduate, you're going to need, there are 8 ALA competencies, core competencies. You're going to need 2 assignments with the supporting information under each of those ALA competencies. Now, while we cover these in the core classes, you're going to cover them in other classes too. It is not the instructor's job to tell you which assignments meet which competencies. That is something we want you to figure out. When you look at the competencies, you can say, okay, well, let's take a look at this. These are the core competencies for librarianship. So as I look through these, I see number 4 standing out to me, apply technological knowledge and skills to practice. All right, so in my Info 5420 course that I teach, it's called Youth Literature, my students have to create a book trailer. They have to make a video incorporating a lot of like mini movies or images that match with the content that they create a script basically for their book. And the idea is that they want to make students want to read the book. It's kind of like a movie trailer, but it's a book trailer. So it's completely created from scratch. They make it themselves, but they can use images and videos that are available online. But the whole of the video is created by the student. It takes a lot of technological skill to do this right. The timing is important. They have to learn how to use iMovie or Animoto or Vimeo, some kind of movie making tool in order to really do this well. Now this would be a great thing to include, especially the finished product is beautiful. It would be a great thing to include in this under core competency number 4, apply technological skills in practice. Now, if you wanted to see, well, what exactly about this applies these technological skills in practice, let's go to number 4, because there's more information under competency 4. So here it is. We're going to click here. All right, so take a look at this. Information, communication, assistive and related technologies, the application of information, the methods of assessing and evaluating, the principles and techniques necessary to identify and analyze emerging technologies and innovation in order to recognize. I think this assignment definitely meets 4D, the principles and techniques necessary to identify and analyze emerging technologies and innovations in order to recognize and implement relevant technological improvements. So by creating these book trailers, the students are incorporating principles and techniques, technological principles and techniques with emerging technology. So these are things that are emerging or new for them, maybe Web 2.0 or beyond products that they're using. They're being innovative because they're creating something completely new in order to get students interested in reading books and to get them enthusiastic about reading. So if I were a student and I were describing how that competency meets, how this assignment meets this competency, I would say something exactly like I just said. So you need to think about this when you're looking at these ALA core competencies, because now while you could use all core assignments, there aren't going to be enough, because you're going to need 2 assignments for each of these competencies. So if you think about it, you're taking 12 or 13 classes each semester. I'm sorry, altogether, not each semester, that would be crazy. 12 or 13 classes altogether, and there are 8 competencies, but you're going to need 16 assignments. So you're going to need to average a little more than 1 competency, a little more than 1 assignment per semester, per class, that you link to one of these core competencies. And you need to cover all 8. So every semester, think about the classes you're taking. If there's 1 or more assignments that meet the competencies, load them by the semester. Don't wait just for those core classes. Although you will cover these in the core classes, you are also covering these other places. What we're looking for is, do you understand what these core competencies are? And can you link them to the assignments that you are doing? We want you to do that thinking and figure that out on your own. Okay, so this video is almost going to be over because we only have about 1 more minute, and then I'm going to make another video where I'm going to talk some more about the rubric specifically, and some questions that have come up based on the rubric just recently, in recent weeks, as I know people have been working on their next semester or their first semester work. So these are recurring questions that I keep on hearing, and I just want to cover some information to help you to be sure that you know exactly what's necessary for those things. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video and we'll have part 2 in just a minute.